I'd like to ask the panel about politics. I think it's wonderful here, and I'd like to hear from all three of you, please. We're more than 90% of us white middle class here, and it's very good to be with like-minded people, recharge our batteries, get good news and information. Do you think that in a capitalist system, this transition is possible? Or do we need to go, and transition is another word for socialism? Thank you.
Well, I actually do think transition is a form of new socialism, or whatever you like to call it. I do think that. I mean, what really concerns me, you shouldn't have asked that question, really. What really concerns me is I think we've lost it in politics in this country. Because we have a Conservative Party, we always will. It represents the wealthy and the powerful, and there will always be in every society the wealthy and the powerful. We have two other parties, particularly, until now at least, the Labour Party, which was always traditionally had the role of representing, dare I say, ordinary people, underprivileged people, people who needed a boost and assistance in order to realise their fulfilment and to get a fair chance. Now, I think the Labour Party has completely lost that. It has taken the corporate route. It's gone, I mean, I'm really angry at Tony Blair, I have to say. He was very successful at winning elections. And it's not just the Iraq War. What I think he's deculturized this country and corporatized it. I mean, exactly the same. Well, yes, okay. Well, we better not go too far down this. I did actually try to stand against Gordon Brown, so I'm the one person I think who can say that. But I mean, you know, we are where we are. The important thing is where do we go from here? And I long in the Labour Party to be standing ideologically for what I joined it for, which was to give, to have social justice in our society, to have democratic accountability, to have citizen participation, to give everyone a pretty fair and equal chance. And now we are the most unequal society that we've been since 100 years, since the Edwardian era 100 years ago. And as I say, I think there is a desperate need for renewal. Now, there are many tributaries into the main river, but I do think this transition movement is a very important one. And I don't say that just because I'm talking to all of you. I really genuinely believe that. And I would love to be associated with the development of this process, of this movement, and I think we can make it something really big and really important. And thank you for all you're doing.
I don't think we should get hung up about being white and middle class. When I was in Cancun, what I saw there was that those who were getting most mobilized were the peasants, and they're proud of being peasants. And that's their background, and they're getting mobilized. They might not call it transitioning, but it's effectively the same thing as what they're doing there. Opening up, building seed banks, what have you, working together. But at the end of the day, we are what we are from our communities and what have you. It will expand, it will stretch out. It's about engaging, it's about actually reaching out, it's about making those connections, forging them. Because really, when that point comes, when we do have peak oil really kicking in, and suddenly we have shortages and what have you, you're the people who will be helping the extended community, those who haven't come on board yet, but they will be in due course. So don't worry about being white or middle class. Stop feeling guilty about it.
I suppose for me, it's the degree to which we make the political aspect of it explicit or not is something that the way that what I observe with transition over the last 4 years is that because it hasn't been explicitly political in terms of alignment or whatever, is one of the reasons why it's spread so far and so deep. And actually, that you know, I go to some places, more kind of rural places, where they've got a very active transition going on, and it's not the kind of people who would have been involved in climate change campaigning before. It's the kind of people who would have set up the Rotary Club or that kind of stuff, which is absolutely fascinating to me. And so for me, I'm kind of wary about being really kind of overtly political and saying this is the political system that would best enable transition. My sense is that actually we just get on with it and we start setting up the structures, the businesses, the infrastructure, based from the beginning, like the cooperative movement was, on fair shares and social justice as the founding principles and ownership of those things, and then actually what the political landscape around that ends up looking like. I mean, it's a question I often wonder, what would it look like in London if we get to a stage where every area of London has really vibrant transition projects going on, actively working very, very closely with their local councils, all kinds of enterprises springing up around that. That becomes a really fascinating, powerful political push at that stage. And, you know, I always go with Vandana Shiva, who's a great hero of mine. She always says, you know, these systems function because we give them our support. And if we withdraw our support from those systems and put them somewhere else, that's hugely, hugely powerful. And so for me, it's not, is it left or right? Is it this system or that system? We just get on with it. And then a political system is what emerges around what we're doing, for me.
This is just a suggestion, really, but I know some of the groups are working closely with your local councils, and that's great. But I'd like to suggest that you could also profit from working closely with your local community and voluntary organisations, because many of them are doing work that's really in line with what you're trying to do, and it would help to, you know, stop it would help you stop sort of trying to reinvent the wheel and to be able to pool your resources with people who've been doing that work for quite a long time. I'm managing a community organisation that's funded by Camden NHS, and we're supporting people's health and wellbeing through creative and gardening activities. It's a different angle to what you're doing, but I really would like to work with some of the transition groups, and so just as an example. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for being here this evening. It's been a phenomenal event. It's sold out more than we ever imagined, and it's been a fantastic opportunity to spend time personally with all three speakers as well and benefit from your expertise. So perhaps a round of applause for the speakers to start off. Polly, you wanted to say something specific about next year as well as an event, and I'll hand back to you to wrap up now.
One of the things that came out of Cancun was the need to actually get governments mobilized before COP17 next year. There's no point actually turning up. In fact, we realised that turning up on the day, on the week, or the fortnight rather, for the COP is too late. Citizen engagement is just not heard. So the big idea that came out of Cancun from the peoples was to hold a people's global rally for the planet on the 24th of September next year. And that way, in every single capital in the world, we will, the peoples, take to the governments and ask them to look at the big ideas. Because the big ideas, the big solutions, always start at the margins and then come into the centre. And there are an awful lot of big ideas out there within civil society. So I'm here, I'm based in London, but we need a team of people who will start to make that happen here in this country. It's already being triggered and happening right across countries, right across the world. These emails are already circulating. If anyone in particular is interested in actually being the ones who will make this happen here in London for next year, please come talk to me immediately afterwards and we can start making that happen. Thank you.